Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever that you may be listening. This is Yonks and very excited. This is now our third tools working group here for DUNADAO and going to be setting up Common Ground, a platform for Web3 communities. And join with me have Florian, the co-founder of Common Ground. So I'm going to hand it over for you, Florian, so that you can guide us through this beautiful product that you've created to make facilitating community, which is no easy undertaking, but hopefully your platform makes it a little easy for us community builders.
Thank you so much for the invitation, having me here tonight, giving me an opportunity to present what we've built over the past 2.5 years effectively. My name is Florian. I'm originally German, living in Portugal for the last 2 years, I think. And I'm originally a lawyer, but I have a deep love for tech, and I've jumped into the crypto rabbit hole around 2014, discovered Ethereum, and just could not let go of that beautiful, beautiful idea and ecosystem that's been forming around it. And Common Ground really is, I feel, my contribution to bringing this ecosystem forward. The problem that we've discovered when we set out to build Common Ground in, I think, the summer of 2021 was that we saw a lot of projects forming around coinship, meaning around shared tokens in the wallets of people, be it NFTs at the time, or meme coins nowadays, or governance tokens of DAOs, or whatever it may be. We recognize there's this universal pattern of communities or people creating communities based on token ownership or coinship, as we call it. And there was no software out there that was made for communities of that kind. We saw that people were shimming, so to speak, Discord and Telegram with bots in order to get some sort of concept of a Web3 identity and a Web3 token ownership concept into these legacy applications, building around that. But the drawbacks of that approach became quite apparent quickly because there were hacks, there were scams, and there were all kinds of coordination failures that just come from this unnatural match of a Web2 application with a Web2 permissioning, Web2 identity model that sort of gets a Web3 aspect retrofitted onto it, which is just not sort of where I think as an industry we should sort of rest our laurels and call the job done, but much rather see that as an inspiration and challenge to build something better. We thought that's something that we can do because we are a team of really strong developers in Web2 technology and Web3 technology. And so we understood that we could actually build something that is both very usable for total Web2 normies, as we like to call them, and people who are already fully onboarded into Web3. So in a nutshell, that's what Common Ground wants to be. And before, I talk too much, I just want to share my screen and actually show you what it looks like. So I'm just selecting the proper window here, and my screen should appear. What you can see here is the Common Ground app running as a standalone application on my desktop. That's possible because we've built Common Ground as a progressive web application. That means it runs like a native app, both on my desktop, on my iPad, and my iPhone. It sends me native push notifications to all these devices, just like a native application. But at the very bottom of it, it's still just a website running in the browser, sort of dressing up like an application. That's a concept that's new to many people, as we've discovered, because Apple and Google have sort of conditioned us to believe that apps really have to come from their proprietary walled garden app stores. And that's really a trick that the devil played on us because these distribution channels that Apple and Google control are actually very limiting to Web3 ideas because fundamentally they just don't align with the goals of these monopolistic companies. They don't really want you to own your identity and your data because then they can't extract money from you, right? So Common Ground is built on an entirely free distribution model of the application. It's accessible on literally any device, any operating system, and that's been really, really important to us. And I don't say that lightly, because building that way is much harder, you could say, than actually building, a native iOS application or something like that. So we really didn't shy away from the hard work. So diving into the application, I just want to give you an overview of how it works. I'm logged into my account here. I'm Florian, as you can see, and I have my little profile widget down here, which I will explain in a bit more detail later on. But I'm just moving on here into the main sort of content area of the application. It's really my personal Web3 front page. I get surfaced all the news from all the communities that I follow across various ecosystems on Common Ground. Let's unpack what I've just said. I've mentioned communities, I've mentioned news, and I've mentioned ecosystems. So how does that come together on Common Ground? Well, what we call channels up here are really blockchain ecosystems. You can see Luxo is a blockchain ecosystem, for example. It's an EVM layer 1 blockchain. And when I hit that channel filter, I get a curated view of the news of the communities I follow in the Luxo ecosystem. And I can do the same for other ecosystems like Fuel. And we support many, many more, although not all of them are yet active on our application. But I immediately want to talk a little bit about the ecosystem that you're building, this ecosystem of DAOs. This is exactly where I see your ecosystem as well. You would live up here, like for example, SI3 is also a partner ecosystem of us. They bring together communities of women that are helping each other to, achieve various things in Web3. And although it's still a little bit quiet in the ecosystem because they are just starting out, they have really just one or two communities in it. They intend to grow over time, much, much bigger on Common Ground. And here I already get a summary of the news in that ecosystem. Jumping back to the aggregated view of all these ecosystems and communities I'm following, I get a really, really interesting, view of blog posts and updates from these communities. But I also get a view of events that these communities are going to host in the near-term future. And so I can see that the hub is hosting an external event on the 15th of August, and I can just hit attend, and boom, I'm RSVP'd for the event. I can obviously also click on it and get a detailed view of the event, where it's happening, what it is about. And you can see when I clicked on this detailed view of the event, I was already teleported into that specific community. So now here on the left-hand side, I see the community sidebar of the hub community, and it's very reminiscent of Discord. I have these channels here where I can chat or not chat depending on the role that I have in that community. I can say, GM fam, how is everybody today? And generally interact with people, leave some nice emojis, and so on. But there's much more to discover in these communities. So I mentioned the events. I now see the just filtered events view of that particular community. If I jump onto the front page of that community, I get just the blog posts of that community. I can see who are the members in this community, and I can actually filter by roles. So I can see who has the role of Luxo citizen. So of 3,000 members, there's actually just 8 who have this very elevated role of a citizen. And I see we already have a question. Youngs, what's your question?
Yeah, so something caught my eye there. It was Spark. Is that a community token, or what? Help unpack that. And
Yeah.
if you were going to cover that later, feel free to say that. I'll cover that here in a minute. But it caught my eye, and I wanted to just chime in something that I noticed there.
Yeah, good catch. I'm happy to cover it now. So we've introduced Spark as an in-app currency for communities to effectively acquire or pay for premium features in the application. So Common Ground is fundamentally free to use, but if your community grows and grows and grows, and you're creating a lot of traffic on our servers, you're hosting big events, we ask you to pay for some sort of premium packages depending on the needs that you have. And that is being paid through Sparks. It's sort of an early concept. We're experimenting with it. You can acquire these Sparks with cryptocurrencies straight in your profile. So when I click here on my little profile widget again, you can see this is my personal Spark wallet. I have 69,000 Sparks and I can buy more. But I can also donate Sparks to every community if I like that community. So it's reminiscent of the boost feature of Discord in the sense that users can donate to communities for communities to then upgrade to, let's say, having more slots in live events, for example, if they're hosting live events. So that's the idea behind Spark. What's also interesting, and one of our key features on Common Ground, is the idea of roles. So everything on Common Ground is infused by our role system. And it's not just one global role system, it's actually a per community role system. And communities define roles in order to control who can see what, who can write where, who can attend which events. It's all gated with roles. And roles can be, but don't have to be, can be defined by token ownership. So if you combine a token-based role with gating a blog post or gating a live event or gating a chat channel, you actually get token gated everything. And that's a really, really powerful design principle that we've introduced into Common Ground. So you have another question? Yes, shoot away.
I do. So talking about the token gating of roles, does that have ERC 721 and 1155 compatibility?
Yes, it does, which is what made us so excited about Unlock Protocol, because that is literally the only interoperability layer that we need to be sort of fully compatible with the Unlock Protocol, right? We didn't even know Unlock existed effectively when we built our side of the application, and we didn't have to. We just all adhere to these EVM standards exactly. And what I can show in this community, which might be exciting to some, is that we're not just limited to ERC20, ERC721, and ERC1155. We're also supporting 2 new token standards that have been developed by the guy, Fabian Vogelsteller, that originally developed the ERC20 standard. He's developed the LSP7 and LSP8 standards, which L stands for Luxo, which is this L1 EVM blockchain ecosystem. And so you can also gate roles with these entirely new standards, which are very, very powerful standards, like insanely powerful. So this community here is part of the Luxo ecosystem. They build on this Luxo blockchain. So they are gating tokens with this LSP7 or LSP8 standard. And here in this particular case, that's a role I could claim if I would have the respective tokens on my wallet, but I don't. So this role is locked to me. However, I have exactly the right amount of token to claim the Luxo citizens and Luxo senator role because, I'm an OG citizen and I own at least one citizen. So I have the benefits of these roles and I can see, I get access to this chat and I have the permission to start calls in this community. So that's really quite powerful. You can see here in the bottom, since I have this call permission, I can start calls, and calls are really like live events. So it can be a group call like a Zoom, but it can also be a broadcast like a Twitter space, but with audio, video, and screen sharing. So kind of way better than a Twitter space. And that's a really popular feature with our communities. They love to host these live events on Common Ground. And something that we've done that I don't think has ever happened on the internet before is the idea of a virtual pub crawl, which is that in an entire ecosystem with about 100 communities, people created live events in all of these communities, and then a crowd of 100 people jumped from one live event in one community to the next, sort of synchronously, and every community would do a 5-minute pitch, what they are about, what they need at the moment, how people can support them, and people were cheering them on and giving them, a lot of feedback, and then everybody moved to the next live event. And there was, I can tell you, such a magical moment. This whole event lasted for over 4 hours. And after 4 hours, there was still like 30 people, continuing this journey through the entire ecosystem. And that's just something you cannot do with a Zoom or a Google Meet, because they don't have this concept of a community behind it. It's just a video conferencing tool. But we've embedded video conferencing in a much bigger thing that is all based on this community stuff. So I just love what becomes possible sort of as an emergent sort of design space for communities, what you can do. Jumping back, to this ecosystem front page, I obviously have an events tab here that we just explored. Just, want to show you how diverse it already is, what's happening here. This year, the Keys community is another one. They do a weekly event called Lightning Talks, where they invite communities from across the ecosystem to also, give quick presentations about what they do. And the Keys community is also quite technically sophisticated, so they actually restream the broadcast happening on Common Ground to Twitter, to YouTube, just like you do it as well at the moment. They do it with OBS and some other tooling. They don't have, I think, your restream service, if I'm correct, but they make it work somehow as well. So that's something that we just love to see. You still have your hand up, so maybe you want to ask another question, actually, yours.
I do, because like when you think about events, one of the things that I've seen, at least within my world, that people are increasingly using Luma because they have a great UX UI. So like, what sort of notifications, like if you opt in and say that you're going to an event, what type of notifications can be expected when you opt into an event to say, hey, your event's getting ready to start or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we're literally launching the email notifications for events this week. We launched this event feature just pretty bare bones. I mean, it is indeed inspired heavily by Luma, because I love Luma as well. But again, Luma is a standalone tool that serves, really well for standalone events. But if you do this more regularly in a community setting, actually, we believe there's more value to have that built in into the application. And so it's pretty much sort of a Luma-like feature within Common Ground. You can see this really looks reminiscent of Luma, because I told our designer, please make it look like Luma. They figured out how it looks like perfect. And so it's a bit reminiscent of that. Obviously, what users can do when they attend an event, they can, add it to their Google Calendar. As now it stopped my screen sharing. So you can add it to your Google Calendar, and you will be automatically reminded of when it starts. But launching this week, even if you don't add it to your Google Calendar, just pressing attend, you will get an email with the ICS file about the event attached. So it's automatically put by Gmail into your calendar, and we will send email reminders. The event starts in 10 minutes. So I think we fully replicated the Luma experience now with introducing these notifications. Jongs.
Yes, thank you. And one of the questions, as an Unlock Protocol fan, do the events have Unlock Protocol composability?
Of course. So just like anything on our application, maybe I don't understand exactly what you mean by that, to be honest, but let me say how it is compatible, in my opinion. It's that every event can be tied to roles, which can be tied to tokens that were created through Unlock. There might be more integration potential here with events at Unlock, but I'm not super familiar with what exactly that could be. So maybe you can give me an idea what that could look like.
Well, for example, one of the great use cases for Unlock is whether the event is free or paid. Like, one of the value propositions that Unlock has is the ability to easily facilitate an on-chain checkout experience. And then like on the free side of the coin, one of the newer features that has been implemented is a kickback, where where you can require some staking. So like while the event may be free, one of the things that a lot of event facilitators have noticed is the propensity for people to say, hey, I'm going to go to that event. And since there's no skin in the game, they have a much lower
Yeah.
attendance rate. So like the
Mm.
kickback feature like would require somebody to ante up like $5 or whatever that number is for a free event. And then when they attend, it gets kicked back so that it's still a free event, but there's still that skin in the game. So that greatly increases the RSVP to the show ratio.
That's an awesome feature. So right now, all of that would happen on the unlock side. On Common Ground, we would just check, do you have the on-chain permission in the form of a token in your wallet to be able to see or attend or RSVP for that event. So it's sort of a shallow integration, if you want, at that level. It could become more in depth in the way that these features then exist natively in the Common Ground user interface as well. We love that because we love the idea of bringing more and more on-chain interactions like a deposit or those sorts of primitives, so to speak, to our community. So I very much hear what you're saying, and it's a great feature and idea that we should look at. Yeah.
And real quick, while you're on the C3 page here, so if I understand the token gating, that can be done on a per channel basis. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. It's the most fine-grained role stuff you can imagine. It's like our developers went crazy over it, but finally we have it. And you can see that what we also recommend to our communities is like make your hidden stuff visible to people that are not supposed to be able to join or read, but just make them aware that it exists because it creates a strong sort of psychological incentive that you want that too, right? So um, for example, this coactive guidelines. Well, damn, I can't read that. It's locked to me. I need a role to check it out. I need to be a see her co-activator or a team member to be able to get in there, or
And
into the ideas
what what
channel. It's just not accessible to me. Yeah.
what one thing that I was just thinking about, and I absolutely love the psychological aspect that you were going there.
Mm.
Does a community builder have the opportunity to like have a URL where they can like say, hey, to learn more about how to obtain access to this locked channel, click here for more details.
So yes and no. There is a description field where you can put that in, either just directly like that's what you need. You can also put in a link, but I'm pretty sure our UI would not render that link clickable at the moment. So this is sort of, I think, the big gap at the moment in Common Ground, where you have all these amazing gating functionalities, but no actually immediate possibility to resolve your gating problem, right? You need to go somewhere else to do it. You can't do it straight in Common Ground. And we don't even help you that well to actually go to the place where you need to go to do it. So this is a big area of improvement that we want to address pretty soon as well. At the moment, you have options to make users aware of what they need to do, but it's not really solved super well from, I think, minimum friction, maximum conversion kind of thinking, which is obviously where we want to go because we consider communities sort of the future of business, really. And so we really need to make, these communities able to make money, right? To convert, to funnel people to their community page on Common Ground, make, people understand the value and then, help them convert. So we don't do that really well yet, but we're painfully aware of sort of that problem space, and we really want to address it. Yeah, cool. Um, what else is interesting about Common Ground? So obviously, this community sidebar here, you can see I'm part of so many communities. These are all communities that I'm a part of. And what's a lot of fun in Common Ground is just how fluid the whole interface renders. It's just very, very quick. And, I can quickly catch up with all the communities I'm a member of. And just something I also want to show. So here in the Common Ground community, which is us as a community on the platform, um, I'm an admin there and I can literally see everything. So if you would go to the Common Ground community, you would not see that we have this area here called CG Core Team and all the channels we have in it with bugs and research. This is entirely hidden. We don't even tell people that it's there. So if you remember the See Her community, they show all their channels. You could just can't read them necessarily. But here, we have areas that are so sensitive and so internal. We have no interest in you knowing that we even have these channels, but we have a lot of channels that are just internal to our team. And our team is not one monolithic team. We actually have different permissions within our team. So not everybody in our team can see the exact same state of all these things. So it's a really, really interesting sort of fine-grained permissioning that we allow you to do. And in any channel that you can open this, member sidebar, and you can actually see who has write access versus who has read access versus, who's in this channel generally online or offline. So we try to make it really, really apparent to people. And if I click here on this little headline, on the name of this channel, I can configure a notification settings. I can even pin channels to the sidebar. So now you see that this GM channel, if it's one that I go to all the time, I can actually have it in the sidebar as a sort of a shortcut to immediately jump into the channel. And then I can define push notifications. I can say, send me push notifications about new messages in this channel while it's pinned, or always, or never, which in my case is the case. And I can also see what kind of access who has to that, which roles have which access to this channel. So guests in the community can only read, not write, but members of the community have full access. That might sound like a sort of purely cosmetic differentiation, but actually not. If you want to join the Common Ground community, you can't just become a member. We've switched to a model where you need to apply to become a member of the Common Ground community. And let me jump into the community admin settings, which is a whole universe in and of itself, where you can configure all this fancy stuff, right? So here are obviously the sort of general settings of the community, the name, the description, the hero banner, the sidebar banner, the community picker logo, which ecosystem we associate our community with. So in your case, Yonks, you would probably then associate your communities with your own ecosystem, which obviously doesn't exist right now, but that's what makes their news and the communities themselves appear under the umbrella of this particular ecosystem. For us, we chose Luxo because they've been our first very active, very big ecosystem on Common Ground. And as a sign of gratitude, we say, hey, we're, Luxonians as well. And yeah, that's just the typical stuff you would expect. Then we have Spark upgrades. So this is what I mentioned before, premium features for bigger communities. You can get a community vanity URL. So it's appcg/c/whatever name you want. It's a unique URL. Yes, Yonks, ask away.
So do you have on your roadmap to allow custom domains?
Eventually, for sure. We have a lot on the roadmap in terms of open sourcing the entire application, letting people host their own version of Common Ground if they want to. We will hopefully allow you to do custom domains at some point. The problem here is always the security model. So it just needs to sort of work with cross-site scripting permissions and all this sort of crazy in-depth browser stuff. That's really why we don't have it at the moment. But we actually would love to not only allow you to have your custom domain. I mentioned earlier, we're a progressive web app. I have Common Ground installed like a native app on my iPhone home screen, like a little Common Ground icon. I click on it and it opens a full screen app. We want you with your community to have your own app on the home screen of people's phones if you want to, right? We will allow you to have your own app. So there's a lot of stuff we can do thanks to this sort of PWA or progressive web app architecture that we've chosen. Yeah, and then there are all kinds of upgrades you can do for your community. Be more visible. We call that publish community. Have more people in calls, full HD calls, 1080p, 60 FPS, 5 speakers on stage sharing video, and 200 people in the crowd. No problem. You can have that. If you want to have many, many roles for token gating and other things, you can purchase a large role package. So that's sort of the premium features we're offering right now. And then, in the sort of the billing stuff, you can see that a lot of people are actually donating Sparks to us just as a sign of gratitude because they like our community, right? So often communities don't even have to buy Sparks. It's users who buy Sparks of that community and they donate it because they want to see their community succeed, be more visible, have more people, and those kinds of things. What I just mentioned before I opened the community settings is this idea of community onboarding, which is that you can have a community be completely open, anybody can join, but even when you join, maybe you want to not allow everybody to write in all the channels, so you have fine-grained permissioning. But maybe you just don't want everybody to even be able to become a member to your community. You want them to ask to fill out a questionnaire. So, or you want to password protect the community or those sorts of things. So all of these things become possible here in this sort of onboarding section of the app. Let me just quickly close this because I can see that my computer is running a little bit hot. I'm just gonna reload my resource constrained computer. I have too many tabs open, so let me just.
I can absolutely relate to excessive tab sprawl. That's like an ongoing problem
Burning
that
hot.
I
It's
have.
burning
Yeah.
hot. It's burning hot. It's insane. All right, it's reloading. Okay. That's much better. All right. Cool. Okay, I'm jumping back into the community settings. Oh, I try. Okay. So members, I obviously showed members already, so it's the same view that I get also as a public user in the community. But here in the channels manager, I can create those areas and chat channels that you've seen in the community sidebar. Here are all our channels. And if I click on any channel, I can obviously pick an emoji for it, a name, a description. But then, here's all the permissioning for this channel. I can say, public. So public are guests, people who are not members. They're just sort of dropping in without having joined. I want them to be able to read what's in the channel, but I don't want them to be able to have full access, which includes writing to the channel. What SI3 has done with these channels that I can see but not even read, we call that preview only. So preview only means this channel is there, but you can't even read what's in it. Read only means you see it's there, and when you click, you see what's being talked about, but you can't participate in the conversation. And obviously being able to moderate is the most extreme sort of broad permission you can have for this channel. And that's sort of, here is the sort of shortcut to set it for everybody. So here, that's the shortcut for everybody. But then I can really set it granularly per role. So I could say, friends of Common Ground are moderators, for example, right? And so suddenly everybody with that role can moderate that channel. Obviously, I can edit areas too, but areas are just these sort of folders and all they have is a name. That's the only property that these areas have. Roles and permissions is really the heart of many communities because that's where you define the roles and where you define how that role can be acquired. Is it a role that is assignable by an admin, or is it a role that can be claimed? So now suddenly I made it a claimable role, or is it a role that is token gated, meaning that in order to claim it for you as a user, you have to have certain assets on your wallet. And let's look at how that looks like, right? So I could turn this counselor role from an assignable role, which means an admin has to give it, into a token gated role, which means everybody can claim it that fulfills these gating conditions. And the gating conditions then are these tokens. And the tokens that I can select here are the ones that I've already pre-created as community tokens for this community. And so we have a Common Ground ERC721. We have another ERC721. These are both on the Gnosis chain, as you can see. But we also have an LSP8, which is this new standard on the Chill Whales, called the Chill Whales token, or a commies token, which is an LSP7. So these are these various gating functions I can define for this community. And then I can also give sort of community level permissions to this role, like can start a call or can start an advanced call, including setting permissions who can join, or moderator level permissions across the entire community, like muting and banning users from the community, moderating calls, publishing blog posts, scheduling events, approving users who've applied to join the community. So it's quite a sophisticated permissioning system at this point. I'm discarding the changes now because I don't want to change that. But the missing piece now really is how to create these community tokens I've just mentioned. So here you can recognize the exact same list of tokens that were just available to us for gating. They are created here, and you can see the chain they are on, the identifier, the token standard, and the smart contract address. And I can just add a new token now, and now you can see that we support 16 different EVM chains already. Arbitrum, Avalanche, Base, Binance, Ethereum Layer 1, Phantom, Gnosis, Linear, Luxo, Optimism. We support all these chains. So any token of ERC20, ERC725, 721, 1155, on all these chains we support. So I could just go ahead now and say, well, Optimism, let's say, rather Base. And then I need the smart contract address, right? This could be an unlock token that I just created, as I described in this blog post you showed in the very beginning, Yonks, or wherever I get this from, right? Typically, I would go to a blog explorer. Let me just sort of do that. So I get the base scan. Let me just share this other screen. This is just a little bit annoying in Zoom. I don't know. Well, okay, I will not show what I do in my other tab right now. I'm just on basescan.org and I'm looking for some ERC20 token. Oh yeah, here's the USDC token, and I am now copying the smart contract address of the USDC token and I'm putting it in, and boom, we immediately recognize that's USD coin, identify USDC, that's an ERC20 token. I say save, and now I've made the USDC coin a community token of Common Ground. And now I can go into my roles and permissions and, create a new role and say only rich people, right? And then I say this role is for millionaires only. And then I say this role is token gated. And then I choose USDC. And then I say you need at least 1 million USDC on your wallet in order to claim that role. But I can be even more sophisticated. I can say, nah, being a millionaire is not enough, bro. You need another token, right? Combined. Or alternatively. So it's sort of dual token gating. You can do some really funny, interesting gating mechanisms around this, and I don't think any community on Common Ground has really explored the depth of what becomes possible with this sort of simple mechanism already. Because what I could say now is you need $1 million and a CryptoPunk on your wallet, right? You need 1 million of this ERC20 and you need 1 of this ERC721 in combination in order to claim that role. I'm not promoting that people should create roles that are gated to rich people. I find that awful, but I just wanted to show sort of, very stupidly what's possible here. So now I've reached the maximum of my roles. So I better delete. I better delete the rich people. Here, the new role. Okay, delete. Ciao. Okay. So that's really all the sort of community settings that are available. Um, Other than that, Common Ground has DMs, so you can see I'm DMing with a lot of people. I very heavily use this application. I can also get a list of who's following me and who I follow. Sadly, everybody's offline at the moment. But anybody I click on anywhere in Common Ground, it pops up their social profile, and I can see which communities they're a member of, which social accounts they've connected. In this case, they have their X account connected. So it's a very social platform. We have notifications, so you never miss anything on Common Ground. We copied that feature from Microsoft Teams, which they solved it really well. So we were like, let's copy that. That's so good. So you don't have that in Discord. In Discord has no notification log, as far as I believe. I could be wrong here. I'm really not a Discord pro, but we really make it possible for you to never miss anything. And you can also hide all the red ones, so it's neatly clean. And lastly, we have community discovery, right? So I can discover all the communities on Common Ground across ecosystems or filtered by ecosystems, and so on and so forth. So it's a sort of a community discovery as well, which famously Discord doesn't really do either. So when you have your DAO ecosystem here on Common Ground, it will be very easy for people to just say, show me all the member communities of Yong's ecosystem or the Win3 ecosystem. And I can quickly sort of connect with all these communities in there very easy. I don't have to look for their website and the link to then back to the Discord. All this shenanigans that Discord makes us do is finally gone. Yeah, that's almost it. It's insane now giving this demo, realizing how much we've built. If you really like Common Ground, you can buy a supporter badge, right? So you can sort of like with Signal, they have it too. Personally, I pay €5 per month to Signal just sort of as a sign of support. You can do the same on Common Ground. You can pay some sparks every month. Just basically you're buying and then burning sparks effectively just, for us to get some cash. I can obviously modify my profile and I can really switch between profiles. I can say, boom, I want my X profile to be my public persona. Boom, I want my universal profile to be my public persona. And later this week, you will be able to make your Farcaster profile your public persona on Common Ground. We're working on a big Farcaster integration. Haven't even mentioned that yet. And another really important part, because how does the token gating actually work in completeness? Well, the communities are doing all these gating conditions, but then a user needs to somehow prove that they are, owning all that stuff. And this is happening here, right? Here I can connect as many wallets or on-chain identities as I like. And then that's added to my token portfolio, which we observe in real time. And whenever you acquire a new token or you sell an existing token, we recalculate your entire permissions on the platform. And if there is a role that was tied to a token you just sold, this role you immediately lost and you're thrown out of all channels, all permissions, whatever it is, you're out, right? If you sell and that was your ticket to be into something, you're out in real time. And that's pretty sophisticated and I think pretty unique actually in the market. And so you can see I've connected a lot of wallets and I've just so many tokens in my portfolio at this point here in Common Ground. But I also have my X profile and so on. This is sort of in a state of change at the moment because we're turning what you see right here into a new product in a sense. We call the Common Ground Passport. This will be a very, very beautiful feature when it's done. It's basically literally like a Web3 passport where you can showcase, aggregate literally all your, community memberships, token ownerships, ecosystem associations, affiliations, and really have sort of a self-owned self-issued passport with which you can move through Common Ground and obviously anywhere else on the Web3. That is pretty much, I think, it. Obviously, we have dark modes, so I'm a big dark mode simp, but sometimes I'm so bored that I use Common Ground in light mode, which was the case. Please go ahead, Jungs.
Yes, so one of the things that I have seen that you haven't brought up yet is account abstraction. So I remember seeing a blog post that you had.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
know that that's a big topic here in 2024 as far as what account abstraction looks like. So
yeah.
and I want to be respectful of everybody's time here. I'm looking, we only have 4 minutes left and we haven't done any of the working
Yeah.
group aspect, but absolutely have enjoyed the demonstration as far as seeing what the capabilities are here. But yeah, anyway, kind of abstraction. I want to know more
Yeah.
about what that looks like
All right.
within your platform.
Yeah. So we're really big fans of account abstraction because this is really the future of crypto UX. And not even just account abstraction, also chain abstraction. So we're working on both. And chain abstraction is like super advanced. A lot of people haven't even really, I think, processed yet what's going to happen on that end. But account abstraction for us really means that we leverage a technology called passkeys, which we've already fully integrated. You can see I have two passkeys already connected to my account. These passkeys allow me to log into Common Ground with my Face ID on iPhone and with my fingerprint on my MacBook. But if you're a big privacy nerd and you hate Apple and you use a Linux laptop, you can use your YubiKey, right? It doesn't matter. This is an open standard supported by your browser. Use whatever security mechanism you want. So these passkeys allow us to in the next iteration, right now this is just used for logging into your account. But in the next iteration, we will actually use this with this Common Ground passport that I just mentioned to actually give every user on Common Ground a wallet. And this wallet will be a Gnosis safe that we deploy on their favorite blockchain on their behalf, and they control that that on-chain wallet, that smart wallet, as Coinbase likes to brand this technology now, to control that just with their Face ID or fingerprint, without ever knowing that they're signing transactions or whatever. It's just complete. The idea of a wallet completely disappears. So we're working on that at the moment, and we're very excited to launch that because that will mean that every user, even if they don't know what Web3 is, will automatically have a wallet on Common Ground. And in turn, for communities, that means they have guaranteed capabilities that they can rely on, that their users have. They know that their users are on chain, right? And to finish it off with chain abstraction, what that will mean is that actually with your fingerprint or Face ID, you will be able to do cross-chain transactions without even knowing that you're, bridging now assets across multiple blockchains. It's just the idea of an individual blockchain just completely disappears with chain abstraction. It's just literally one big sort of blob of block space where assets live in all corners of various blockchains, and you don't even know about it. You're just doing your stuff. You're just sort of creating intents as a user, and they're sort of seamlessly resolved through these advanced technologies. So that's what we're building towards. We're definitely going to launch this user smart wallet, sort of like Coinbase does it now as well, this year. With chain abstraction, that's something that could probably come next year, but maybe even this year because there are some really, really good protocols now, like Lit protocol and a bunch of others that are providing a pretty seamless service around that as well. So we're talking to those guys and many others about potentially, implementing their stuff. So that's Common Ground. And I am Lotus. You have a question? Yes, please go ahead. I don't hear you. I'm Lotus.
Trying to find my
Now
mute
I do.
button. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
Uh, your platform can do videos, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. You're very
Awesome.
close. You're very close, actually, to being a TikTok on Web3.
Don't say that to Dracula app. They tried to
I
be the TikTok
won't.
on
I
Web3.
won't. I need to hide you because people can do short, and there are full on Web3. Man, just an FYI.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Well, guys, this was a really, really amazing call, and I'm sorry for just giving a 1 hour demo, but it's just insane how much we've built. It's surprising sometimes to me.
No, well,
Yonks.
and I absolutely, and we'll take offline the best way for setting up our DAO ecosystem there so that we can really, and I'll probably go ahead and onboard the educhain.club even more expeditiously than DUNADAO, since we are underway of creating a narrative with a Dora Hacks hackathon for EDU Chain Club as well. But that's one of the things that we really want to help make organizing clubs easier for communities, because as we all know, organizing communities isn't an easy undertaking, but coordination and collaboration tools can definitely help make that easier for those people that want to raise their hand and bring people together, especially people that want to make a positive impact on the universe, which we know is one of the big opportunities with Web3 and blockchain technology.
Beautiful. One maybe last information. So creating a community is free and instantaneously possible for everybody. Creating an ecosystem, which is this sort of channel concept, that requires talking to us, because that's sort of a bespoke process that we do manually still on the back end. There's no sort of one-click create. So if you want to go for that route, whenever you want to go for that route, reach out to me and we can set up your ecosystem. Yeah. Awesome.
Fabulous. Thank you again, Florian, and I'll get you the links for where this went streaming. You've got the YouTube one that I shared via Telegram, but like I said, this also went to Facebook and X and LinkedIn. So hopefully this will be some content that you can maybe use for saying, hey, I did this amazing demo here, and this is up to date as of August 13th. So love what you all are building. Love the ethos of Common Ground. So kudos to you and your team for creating what seems to be a fabulous project and facilitating community building with Web3 technology.
Thank you very much.
A question, Florian. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes. Just search for my name. That's here in Zoom. You will find me.
Okay. I will try to do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Florian. Everybody have a great rest of your time. Make sure you subscribe, smash the subscribe